What is up, guys? You're very welcome to another video here on Degenerate Watch. Thank you very much for joining me. In this video we're going to be taking a look at another police pursuit, and of course it's happening in the car chase capital of the world, and that is California. We all know the police pursuits are never straightforward. There's always something a little bit different about each one. They can be quite volatile situations, and it can be quite dangerous for innocent bystanders, especially when you have a suspect like this guy who's quite unpredictable. Unfortunately, guys, I'll be your commentator for this pursuit. The original video had some overly dramatic and heavily copyrighted music playing over it, so I had to cut the audio. I came across this video on Facebook, so I wasn't able to find out a whole lot about the actual pursuit and why this guy was being chased in the first place. But police were hot on his tail for some reason, and here we see an officer attempt a pit maneuver. But unfortunately he wasn't quick enough and wasn't able to make proper contact, and the suspect takes off in the same direction as he came. The suspect continues making his way down some residential streets with his bumper hanging off. When I see pursuits turn into residential areas, I tend to get a bit on edge because there's so much potential for things to go wrong. One of the main things that worries me is the fact that you could have small children out playing on the street, and most pedestrians that would be walking in the area wouldn't be expecting a car to come in driving dangerously and speeding around the place. So it seems our suspect has stopped beneath the cover of some of these trees. Now I don't know if that was a premeditated move or it was just by coincidence, but he's really not going to get too far with the chopper overhead. There's also a police chopper in the area as well. Right here we can see the suspect come out from under cover of the trees. I'm not quite sure what happened to the officer that was behind him. Perhaps they pulled back because of the dangerous way that he was driving. But right here would have been an ideal opportunity to take this guy into custody. But as I said, there's a chopper overhead and he can't outrun that or a radio. The stakes seem to get a little bit higher as he approaches this property. Now, first off, I was thinking that perhaps that's where he lives or he knows somebody that lives there. But that turns out not to be the case, as you'll see in a minute. We lose sight of him here for a couple of minutes while he's actually inside the house. I thought he was getting over the wall at the side of the property and he was going to come down along the side of the building. He exits the property through the back door, and out along with him comes the homeowner's dog. The gentleman that's outside in the back garden, obviously startled, runs into the property. I don't know how the suspect got into the front door. Perhaps it was unlocked or open. But it must have been a pretty scary moment for that homeowner when he entered the back garden. Also potentially dangerous for that suspect because that man could have been going inside to get a weapon. The gentleman runs out onto the driveway and starts waving down what I believe is probably one of the choppers that's circling overhead. The gentleman flees down the road, obviously for his own safety, while the suspect remains inside the property. I don't actually know what he's doing in there. Perhaps he was using the John. But after spending some time inside the property, he again leaves and goes back to the vehicle he was initially fleeing in. He seemed to be at that property for quite a substantial period of time, so I don't know how the police hadn't swarmed the area at that stage. They could have secured the vehicle and the perimeter of the building so he couldn't escape, so I think that was a bit of a missed opportunity there on the police's part, but who knows what was going on. We're now quickly approaching a junction with some traffic stopped at a red light. Our suspect has kind of snookered himself here as there's clearly not enough room to get through, and unfortunately both of these folks end up getting their cars damaged at the front of the queue. I was thinking that the suspect was reversing here to go up along the inside where the sidewalk is to try get by, but no, he tries to ram his way through instead. I'm hoping that the folks in these vehicles weren't injured. I'm not sure if that little stunt disabled his vehicle or he just decided he wanted a different one. Right here I thought he was going to get hit by his own vehicle or even tried to hijack that black SUV there. Must have been pretty scary for those folks there, as they were just after getting rammed and they're dealing with that, and then he approaches the car, probably thought we're going to get carjacked. It really is baffling to me how any police units haven't shown up yet. This guy, every minute that he's on the road, he's so unpredictable and he's so dangerous. And by the looks of things, he's only trying to find another vehicle he can get into to take off again. We skip on a little bit here and he's still in search of a vehicle. The police are still watching this guy from the air, but no units on the ground have shown up as of yet. I think here he was attempting to stop the approaching vehicle, but luckily the person that was driving it decided not to stop for him. It only takes somebody that's a good Samaritan at heart to drive up and think that this guy's in a bit of trouble, maybe pull in to see what's going on, and then he carjacks them. And obviously at this stage we don't even know whether the guy's armed or not. And not only is he a danger to members of the public, he's also a danger to himself when he's trying to cross roads like this with vehicles moving at speed. Things could turn pretty messy for this guy in a split second. Now I thought this poor unfortunate person here was going to become a victim of his. But luckily for these folks, it looks like they had the door locked. And as you see there, the police chopper just cut into frame, so they're still overhead watching him. He now heads towards a set of railway tracks that run down the centre of this highway. He crosses with relative ease and has the other side of the highway now to contend with crossing. And when we actually pan out with the camera here a bit, we actually see that a few vehicles have come to a halt. He heads over to this silver pickup truck and has what looks like a conversation with the driver. I'd love to know what's being said here. And like I was talking about earlier, these situations are the most volatile. You have members of the public there, you don't know if that guy's armed. If your door's unlocked, he could easily rip it open, and if he has a weapon in your face, you're going to have to give up the vehicle. But to be quite honest, the way this guy's been acting, I don't think he's really thinking straight. And he strolls across in front of the silver SUV now like he has some sort of a death wish. He just wants to be mowed down by a vehicle here. It's this sort of erratic behaviour that leads me to believe that he's having some sort of an episode here. It seems that a lot of people in LA drive around with their doors locked, which is quite fortunate, especially in this situation here where he tries the door. He could have been into that vehicle in a second. Finally, the police arrive on the scene and he charges towards him, only proving that he has some sort of a death wish. And you can clearly tell that there's something not quite right with this guy, and I really thought that this was going to end terribly badly here. But he seems to have backed off, and I thought he was going to start walking away, maybe approach a vehicle again. But he seems to just hang about at the side of the road here. We're going to skip on a little bit here now to when backup arrives. And to be quite honest guys, I thought this was going to end in one of those situations where that guy wanted one of the police to shoot him. And I can't imagine how much of a tough situation that must be for officers to be in when it does come to that. Especially in those situations where you see that a suspect is armed and he charges at the police. But luckily here, the suspect seems to see some sort of sense and lies down the road and seems to be following the commands of the officers. And right about now, it seems to be cuff him and stuff him time. Let's be honest folks, he probably came to his senses after he seen there was a canine on scene that looked very eager and hungry. I definitely would not like to be on the receiving end of those teeth. But thankfully for everybody involved here, this came to a peaceful end. And I'm really hoping that those folks in the vehicles that were hit earlier weren't too badly injured if they did sustain any injuries. And that homeowner that was fairly traumatised, I'd say, by that guy entering his house, hopefully he was okay in the end and there was nothing stolen or anything or any damage done to his property. And even though I did criticise the police earlier on for what I saw as a somewhat slow response to getting units in on the ground to stop this guy, at least in the end it was brought to a peaceful conclusion. Hopefully if this guy was having some sort of a mental episode, he gets the help that he needs. Well guys, there concludes another pursuit video from, of course, the car chase capital of the world, California. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, I'd ask you kindly to hit that like button, as it does really help the channel out. If you'd like to help support what we do here at Degenerate Watch, why not consider becoming a channel member? You can find out more information at the link down below in the description, or you can hit the join button down below this video. There's other great ways also to help support the channel, and you can find links to those down below in the description. And don't forget to check out our merch store where we still have a 20% off sale running. If you haven't checked out our latest Frauder compilation, which was Frauder compilation number 18, don't forget to check that out. And I'll leave a link to that one down below in the description. Once again, I want to thank you very much for joining me, and a massive shout out to everyone that's watching this on the premiere with me. And a massive thanks to all the channel members, as your continued support is very much appreciated. As always, I'll be back in the next couple of days with another video here on Degenerate Watch. I do hope you'll join me then. And until then, why not check out one of the videos that should be appearing on screen now. Until next time guys, stay safe, take care, peace.